Okay, now that we have talked about outlining, most of you probably would think that the next natural step would be to talk about introductions. But what I'm going to do is talk about thesis statements. Now, the thesis statement is a part of the introduction. It is the last sentence of the introduction. There's a specific reason why we're talking about the thesis statement first, because the thesis statement is the most important sentence in the entire essay. The most important sentence in the entire essay. I did not stutter. I did not hesitate. If you cannot do a good thesis statement, then it's going to be a challenge for you to get a really high score. That's how important the thesis statement is. The thesis statement, it controls and directs the entire essay. The entire essay is based around the thesis statement. So it's vitally important that you write it correctly. I think a lot of students think about the thesis statement as a throwaway sentence. And a lot of people try to use a template to do a thesis statement, or they make some general thesis statement that can apply to any type of question. That is a horrible, horrible, horrible mistake. A horrible mistake. Because then your essay has no direction, no foundation to sit on. The thesis statement is like the foundation of a house. It's the foundation of a house. And if you know anything about house building, you can't have a strong house with a weak foundation. Okay? So here are the basics of a thesis statement. The thesis statement, it comes in the first paragraph. It comes in the introduction. It contains the main idea or your position that you're going to expand throughout the rest of the paper. So if you have just a generalized thesis statement that has no main idea position and no blueprint, then what are you expanding? Your essay is a mystery. And the worst kind of essay to write is an essay where it's a mystery, where later on the grader has to figure out what the heck you're talking about. A thesis statement is a specific claim that your essay supports, a specific position, right? It answers the question. And also it says how you're going to answer the question, the blueprint, right? So that's why, again, I talked about this earlier. Why are we starting with the thesis statement? I told you this earlier. The entire essay is based around the thesis statement. It's the most important sentence. All right? It's the most important sentence. A lot of students don't realize that. They don't realize that. And they don't when you read an essay, one of the first things, if I'm grading an essay, one of the first things that I'm looking at is the thesis statement. Because if this person can't write a thesis statement, I actually lose hope that they're going to actually write a really good essay, because there's no foundation. So how do you know when you're writing a really good thesis, right? When you write a thesis statement, this is what you have to assume. You have to assume that the reader can read only this one sentence and know exactly what your paper will be about and the position that you have. That's how you know if you have a good thesis statement. I can look at just one sentence and know exactly what your paper is about, the position you have, and how you're going to explain that position. Do you see why that sentence is so important? Why it's so powerful, right? It's extremely, extremely powerful. It should be clear, it should make a choice, and it should have predictors. Predictors meaning, what are you going to talk about? You're controlling ideas. Here's how you write the thesis statement. There are 3 parts. You have the limited subject or the subject, the general idea. You have your precise opinion or position and the blueprint of your reasons. Okay, always those same three elements. And of course, if you want to read more and read more detail, just stop the video. Stop the video and you can read at your own pace. Okay. There are two ways of writing a thesis statement. There are other ways too, but these are the two main ways. My favorite way is to combine everything into one sentence. Right? So here we have the biography of Malcolm X challenges the stereotype of a civil rights activist with its attention to cultural detail, religion, and direct quotes from those who knew him best. The limited subject is the biography of Malcolm X. The position is that it challenges the stereotypes of a civil rights activist. The blueprint, or how I'm going to talk about how it challenges the stereotype, is in regards to cultural detail, religion, and direct quotes. That's a thesis statement in one sentence. Then we have the thesis statement where everything is combined, it's separated. We will examine three main points of this biography: cultural detail, religion, and direct quotes from those who knew him best. Right? These main points support the position that the biography of Malcolm X challenges the stereotype of a civil rights activist. Right? So it's the same thing as before, except we separated the blueprint and the subject position. We separated them. So it could be done both ways. Okay? It could be done both ways. So normally when you think about a thesis statement, it normally breaks down in this kind of simple way. Something does something because of something. Because of these reasons, something does something. Although the opposing evidence, the reasons show something does something. Right? I'm trying to give it to you in as I'm trying to give it to you in as simplest fashion that I possibly can. Okay? So here's the review. 3 parts: limited subject, the general idea, position, blueprint. If I read your thesis statement, I should be able to read that one sentence. I should be able to know what the essay is about. I should be able to know your position, and I should be able to know your blueprint or roadmap of how you're going to support your position or explanation. If I can't do that by reading your one sentence, then you have not written a very good thesis statement.